All right. This isn't breaking news, but it says a lot about the independent or quote unquote commentary news community. Because look, um, I want to see, you know, us in this space get represented properly. And, yes, we all have our opinions, but there are moments where I get truly grossed out. And I found this to be absolutely reprehensible from one Emma Vigeland of the Majority Report. And in my opinion, I think this is something in which she should apologize, in my opinion, because when a 19-year-old Peyton McNabb was severely injured by a man during a volleyball game, she was left with traumatic brain injury after he spiked the ball against her head. Now, we saw her during Trump's first joint session of Congress speech. She was one of the many people that Donald Trump was pointing out and acknowledging. I mean, every single president has done this, but I saw something that really grossed me out. And Jackie Jacks on X, who is a diehard follower and has stood with Hardlands Media from during our toughest times, tweeted this out, and at first I didn't believe it. I refuse to believe anything like this did exist. And let me go ahead and stop the share again and put it back up. Apologies for any delays here. Well, let me go ahead and put this up here for everybody to witness firsthand. So apologies for any technical delay. But screenshot, because she's getting roasted for this, rightfully so, and I'm sure she'll delete this. Ghoulish Emma Vigeland cackles with delight over a teenager having traumatic brain injury. What the actual F? And this was a screenshot of Emma saying, ha, 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 ha. And here is the video in which it took place. Again, folks, this will be difficult to watch, but this is what happened. Now, Emma Vigeland didn't delete that tweet. She didn't. She went on to say, ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. This is what makes the rest of us look bad on social media. This really makes, the problem is then those on who are progressive or independent media. I mean, this makes us look bad. I don't want to see anybody get hurt in a sports game. Okay. And Emma Vigeland, I guess it wasn't a fan of Trump's joint session of Congress. Listen, I'm not a fan of any president and their joint session of Congress. I mean, at least what I could say about Trump's speech a few days ago was at least it was entertaining and not a snore fest like Joe Biden. I mean, come on. It's not saying much. At least it was entertaining with all the outbursts and cringe. And again, this has to deal with the fact that it has to deal with women's sports. And this has been a hot topic issue, especially was brought up during the 2024 election cycle. But she was dragged by a lot of people. RBN, Nick from RBN says, Emma exists to create an ineffective and insufferable left in this country, the absolute queen of bad takes. Anya from the Gray Zone, who's done phenomenal work. At least you're openly celebrating violence against women and being honest about your position here. And these are people making their own opinions. The Redhead Libertarian, how many mental illnesses have you been diagnosed with? Ballpark is fine. Libs of TikTok, what is so funny? Cat Turd, found another R word. Gotta be careful of that. Brad Pierce says, what aspect of a 19-year-old getting traumatic brain injury is funny to you? Like if you were making a joke, it would be one thing, but you're laughing. USMC Lady Vet, I think you should get in a ring with that guy since you think it's funnies. Laura Powell says, Emma's next post is making fun of DJ Daniels' brain injury scars. And hey, the Bruiser, the face of hate in America in 2025 is a Democrat face. Well, there's a lot to be said about that face. E writes, what does absolute scum look like? All right. Comrade Misty. Much love to her. Much love to her indeed. What the actual F is wrong with you? Liz Churchill, you should be immediately issued a Form 1, sent to a psychiatric hospital, and placed on a Thorazine drip. Blakely says, please delete this. This is incredibly harmful to the trans community. May says, weird and dumb. Liz Churchill, you're a terrible person, truly. Kat Kanda, you're sick in the head, freak. Okay, so there you go. And so, yes, and it goes on like this. And even our word finder, You're a piece of shite and an evil R word. So there you go. Just want to be safe here. Even we here at Hard Lens Media gave in our 2 cents because we found this to be absolutely gross and disgusting. And as far as I'm concerned, for those who think that Emma is this wonderful voice, somebody who actually cares. I mean, look at this again. You're laughing at somebody who gets a traumatic brain injury, and you think that it's funny. You think that it's okay to laugh at. You think that it's a joke that in which people should be partaking in. And I don't support it. I stand against this kind of violence. I hate this kind of violence. And I despise when people actually who have a platform then use it in this manner to make the rest of us on the left, those of us who are progressive, look bad. Now, I want there to be equality in sports. I want there to be, true equality. But, this does have to be called into question. Just really, what is wrong with Emma laughing? And so we even responded to this, dear God, why would you laugh at this? And even our audience went on to say this. Patty Leary, because she's brain dead, have pity on her. People over profits, I'm guessing to make the left look as bad as possible. And Turncoat Don, shout out to him. If Trump signed an executive order to strengthen animal cruelty laws, she would immediately club her cat to death. Well, I'm going to retweet that. Thank you so much, Turncoat Don. And also Dr. X Nova, in part because she's always been rich, thus lacking anything that resembles actual human decency, and any morality in which she cloaks herself is the psychosocial equivalent of a human suit. Oh, very, very good points indeed. But when it comes down to her opinion, especially with those who have transitioned playing in women's sports, Emma didn't hold anything back. And this was from 2023.
Slam Cedar, Emma, there's tons of evidence regarding testosterone levels in height, strength, and speed between people with XX chromosomes and XY chromosomes. Matt's citation off cases about the Olympics is pertinent, but an argument for better planning and more transparent discussions. Your argument is really bad on this, and you're out of your depth. You're correct that trans women should be able to compete in women's sports, but your argument for it is just scientifically and factually incorrect. I'm actually not bad about this. I'm 100% right on this. I don't give a shit about the scientific explanations. People, if they identify as a woman, get to compete in sports. If that's not fair in the short term for a variety of little competitions, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit because the societal interest of including trans people in society trumps stupid competition. Full stop. So I'm right about this. You're wrong about this. Anyway. Dr. Shock, I agree. Let's get rid of weight classes in all combat sports. Perhaps have grown man compete in Little League. Sometimes life's not fair.
Okay, so listen, Emma, there is a fundamental difference, okay? And when the South Park episode starts becoming real life, just like how people say Idiocracy was not supposed to be a documentary. I'm pretty sure certain South Park episodes weren't supposed to come into reality, but yet here we are, which is why I feel sorry for the writers of Black Mirror, because goodness gracious, the things that are happening now in real time, in real life, are downright shocking. But I also want to pull up just another video too, because you see a little bit more of Emma's unhinged rants. So let me go ahead and pull this up here for everybody to see as well. So let's do that.
For a few decades. Like if our sources of our outlets for entertainment, for competition, for like, I don't know, however to define them. But if they're not able to accommodate trans people, then they're not worthy of existing. Like it's just like, we're talking about movie theaters. What are we talking about here? I mean, I love sports as much as anyone, but if they cannot accommodate, including trans people, I don't give a shit about them being robust. It's just,
Torwin brings up a good point because I'm seeing the chat. Obviously, all of you are weighing in your opinions. I wonder how she would feel if she had a daughter who got her face smashed in by a dude. Would she say, tough shite kid, dems the break? Somehow I doubt it. Absolutely. You're right.
Be inclusive or don't be.
Captain Obvious, she doesn't give a shite, wants a virtue signal. Absolutely.
That's it. Or don't exist. Or I mean, honestly, like women's sports, it's barely an institution. It's only been around for a few decades. Like if our sources of our outlets for entertainment, for competition, for like, I don't know, however to define them. But if they're not able to accommodate trans people, then they're not worthy of existing. Like it's just like, we're talking about movie theaters. What are we talking about here? I mean, I love sports as much as anyone, but if they cannot accommodate, including trans people, I don't give a shit about them being robust. It's just, be inclusive or don't be. That's it.
Now, again, this person who managed to get these Ed Gentry, this is from again from
It's not
2023. Now, if you're just tuning in, this has to deal with what she recently posted yesterday, or to be more precise, yesterday, sorry. And it was a retweet of something that was posted on March 4th where Peyton McNabb suffered a severe injury, and she starts laughing. Ha 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 ha. This is beyond gross. In my opinion, it is beyond gross. And here's where Emma's saying, again, this is a video from March 25th, 2023, in which Emma Vigeland says, "You're a bad mom if you can't explain to your athlete daughter that there are people along the gender spectrum and it's not this binary." Well, still, if your daughter gets hurt in a game, I'm sure your tune and attitude would change drastically. I'm sure if I was a parent, I would be upset too.
You're a bad mom if you can't explain that there are people along a gender spectrum and it's not this binary. Like, I mean, I hear this all the time. My daughter plays sports. What am I going to tell to her? It's not fair to her to compete with this kind of person. Honestly, I have a sports podcast. I love sports as much as anyone. Trans women should be able to compete without question in women's sports, because there are a lot of instances where there are athletes who, there's not even evidence to show that this is the case, but just take their assertion at face value for a second, that this is some unfair advantage. I mean, there's an unfair advantage all the time in sports. That's actually that's the nature of sports, that some people are physically or more.
It should be an equal playing ground. Yes, talent, and yes, there are people that are far more talented, but there is a difference between men and women. All right. That's what's great. That's what's great about men and women. There's a difference between us. Okay. And yes, when you have a trans individual playing in a woman's sport, there's going to be a difference between that person and a biological woman. It's going to be. All right. People say don't look at the science. Well, you kind of have to. All right. It's not an opinion, it's a fact.
Or gifted, or they have like a better mentality. We should have banned Yao Ming from basketball because he's just too tall. It's not fair for everybody else.
The children.
You're a bad mom if you can't explain.
All right. So hold on. There's just one more of this. All right. Where again, one of the producers gives a nuanced response. So let's go and play this.
The thing that occurred to me about that trans sports IM is they said the thing about we need to have they granted my point about this has gone too far and we're disallowing what they call biological women from going on sports, but they say we need to have a nuanced conversation or something like that, right?
Yeah.
We were having that as a society until the GOP decided to make trans people a target of their political campaigns. So that's the problem, and maybe we can get back to this purely intramural academic debate about these things once the fascists start using them to animate their base.
Well, you know what I don't like? This makes us look bad. This makes a lot of us look bad because of the actions of Emma. And look, the majority report has a large following. Emma has a large following. But when I see people on the left and the right calling her out, Emma Vigeland, you should apologize for this tweet. In my opinion, you should. All right. And the reason why is because then this is how everyone in the sphere gets painted. I despise what happened to Peyton McNabb. All right. And I do hope eventually, stuff like this is stopped, because we're seeing this all the time. And when South Park did an episode on it, yes, it was satire, but oh my goodness, it's as though with a flip of a switch, all these women being injured in these sports where, again, there's a trans individual playing, or either that losing, it's showing that there's an uneven playing field. And again, laughing at somebody's pain, traumatic brain injury, that's nothing to joke about. That person's life was forever changed on that day. I despise it, as should everyone else. So apologize. In my opinion, apologize. And I'm glad that a lot of people, hey, what do you know? We can all work together. We can drag Emma through the fire, in my opinion. And sometimes I look at the internet and I get grossed out and I just wonder, tomorrow when I wake up, what else will I see?